Hello, my name is Olivia Grant, a 31-year-old lawyer living in a quiet suburb of Richmond, Virginia. But before I became the woman I am today, I was a girl shrouded in fear, where the echoes of shouts and the sting of bruises marked my childhood. My story begins in a sleepy coastal town in North Carolina, where quaint beach cottages lined sandy streets, and from the outside, my family seemed like a postcard of serenity. But behind closed doors, it was a nightmare. The sharp smell of stale beer clung to my mother's breath whenever she stormed into the house. She was a wiry woman with quick hands and a temper that burned without warning. My father, a soft-spoken man with weary eyes, tried to keep things calm, but it was never enough. When my mother drank, our little cottage became a war zone. The crash of breaking dishes, my father's quiet pleas, and my mother's sharp yells wove into a terrifying melody I couldn't escape. I was 6 when I first felt the weight of her hand. It was a chilly autumn evening, the ocean breeze rattling the windows. I'd knocked over a bowl of cereal, a silly mistake, but to her it was a crime. "You think you can ruin everything?" she snapped, her eyes wild. Before I could react, her palm struck my cheek, sending me stumbling. My father rushed to me, his arms a fragile shield. "Please, Laura, she's just a kid," he begged, his voice shaking. But she didn't stop. She yanked him away, and the sound of her slaps filled the tiny kitchen. I curled into a ball, hands over my ears, trying to drown out his cries. That night, after she passed out, my father mopped up the spilled cereal, his hands trembling. He sat on my bed, brushing my hair gently. "Olivia, you've got to be tough, okay?" he whispered, his voice breaking. "I'm sorry, I can't do more." I didn't understand why he apologized when he was the only warmth in our cold home. I hugged him, feeling his shaking frame, and promised myself I'd save him from the monster my mother had become. The years that followed grew darker. My mother lost her job at the local diner, and alcohol became her closest friend. She drank from dawn to dusk, and every time she was drunk, she found a reason to lash out at my father and me. Once, she shoved me into a door for laughing too loudly during a cartoon. Another time, she hit my father so hard he crumpled, just for asking why she was out so late. His bruises multiplied, but he hid them under long sleeves, even in the humid summer. Yet, amidst the chaos, I found fleeting moments of peace with my father. After her rages, he'd take me to the back porch, where we'd sit under a weathered magnolia tree. He'd tell me stories of far-off places, or we'd watch the stars glitter over the ocean. "Olivia, see how the stars shine through the night," he said softly. "You've got to be like that, glowing no matter how dark it gets." Those words became my anchor, a faint light through the pain. But I wasn't always brave. Some nights, when my father's cries rang out, I hid in my closet, clutching a stuffed bear, praying the storm would pass. I hated myself for being too small to help him, hated my mother for turning our home into a prison, and sometimes hated the world for leaving us in this torment. When I was 8, my brother Noah was born, a tiny miracle in our shadowed world. Noah, with his wide eyes and bright giggle, brought a spark of joy to my father and me. Strangely, my mother was different with him. She never screamed at Noah, never touched him in anger. Instead, she was tender, even smiling when she held him. "You're my little star," she'd coo, her voice soft. I couldn't fathom why she was so cruel to us, but so gentle with him, and I was grateful Noah was spared our pain. But her kindness to him made me feel more alone. Once, when I broke one of Noah's toys by mistake, she slapped me so hard my head spun. "How dare you upset your brother?" she yelled. Noah cried, not for the toy, but because he saw me hurt. He toddled to me, but she pulled him away, soothing him as if I were the enemy. My father watched, helpless, his eyes brimming with tears. That night, he held Noah and me close, whispering, "I love you both no matter what. You'll always have me." But I knew he was breaking too. My childhood was a maze of fear and pain. I learned to tiptoe around my mother, to stay quiet when she drank, to hide my bruises from school friends. I didn't want their pity or for them to know my home was a battlefield. But seeing my father's fresh wounds tore at me. I dreamed of a day when I'd be strong enough to take him and Noah away from her. When I was 13, things worsened. My mother drank more. Her blows grew fiercer. Once, she struck my father so hard he collapsed, just for burning dinner. I screamed, "Stop, you'll kill him." But she turned on me, her eyes ice cold, and pushed me down. I lay there, watching my father struggle to breathe, my heart splintering. That night, when he stirred, he tried to smile. "Olivia, survive for me for Noah," he said faintly. I nodded, but I knew if I didn't act, I might lose him forever. I began planning. I'd grow up, earn money, and take my father and Noah far away. I studied hard, hiding my scars at Seaside Middle School, telling myself education was my escape. But time felt like an enemy. My mother was unraveling, and I feared she'd go too far. At 16, while my classmates worried about prom or soccer games, I lived in dread, wondering if today she'd push my father past his limit. Our cottage felt like a powder keg. I overheard her arguing with my father about a man she was seeing. Once, I heard him plead, "If you bring him here, Laura, I swear I'll leave." She laughed, her voice slurred. "You? Leave me? You're nothing, James." Her words cut deep, and I noticed my father growing quieter, his shoulders heavy with an unseen weight. One night, I found him on the porch, staring at the waves, a cold coffee in his hand. "Dad, are you okay?" I asked, my voice shaking. He forced a smile. "I'm fine, Olivia. Just look after Noah, all right?" I knew he was hiding his pain, and it killed me to see him fading. I started keeping a secret journal, noting every drunken outburst, every bruise on my father's body. I hid it under my mattress, hoping one day it might help free us. But I was just a teenager, powerless against my mother's rage and the cruelty of fate. Then came the day that broke me. It was a rainy November afternoon when I got home late from the library, working on a history project. The house was too quiet, no TV, no Noah's laughter, no humming from my father in the kitchen. Just my mother, slumped on the couch, an empty vodka bottle at her feet. She looked up, her eyes dull. "Your dad," she mumbled. "He fell off the porch." My stomach dropped. "Fell?" I whispered. "What did you do to him?" She lurched to her feet, grabbing my arm. "Don't you dare accuse me. He fell, you hear me?" She shoved me back, muttering about needing another drink. I ran to the hospital, heart pounding. There, I found Noah in the waiting room, clutching a toy boat my father made, his eyes red. "Olivia, Dad won't wake up," he sobbed, clinging to me. The nurse led me to my father's room. He lay still, his face pale, bruises stark against his skin. The doctor explained he'd suffered a head injury from the fall. "We tried everything," he said softly. "I'm sorry." I stood there, holding his cold hand, the warmth that once comforted me gone. I wanted to scream, to confront my mother, but I was frozen. Noah hugged me, crying, and I whispered, "It'll be okay, Noah, I'll protect you." But I didn't believe it. The days after were a blur of grief. My mother planned my father's funeral, but her tears felt hollow, her breath sour with alcohol. Neighbors whispered about the tragic accident, but their eyes held suspicion. I wanted to shout that my father didn't just fall, that my mother was to blame, but my journal wasn't enough proof. I was just a kid, and the law didn't listen to kids like me. The night after the funeral, I lay awake, my father's last words echoing. "Olivia, you're my strength. Keep going." It felt like a weight I couldn't carry. I began to suspect my mother's affair with a man named Ethan had something to do with it. I'd overheard her yelling at my father. "You think I don't know you're jealous of him?" His voice broke as he replied, "Laura, you're tearing us apart." Did she push him to silence him? The question haunted me. I searched her room when she was passed out, finding an old phone with text to Ethan. "James knows too much," one read. "I'll deal with it," another said. My heart raced, but I knew it wasn't enough to convict her. I told my English teacher, Miss Carter, everything. She listened, her face heavy, but said, "Olivia, you need solid proof." Those texts aren't enough. Her words stung, but I knew she was right. I was helpless, and my father was gone. 2 weeks later, my mother brought Ethan home. He strutted in, laughing with her as if my father never existed. I stood in the kitchen, fists clenched. "Who's he?" I demanded. Her eyes narrowed. "This is Ethan. He's staying. If you don't like it, leave." Her words cut deep. I wanted to fight, but Noah's scared eyes stopped me. Our home felt alien, reeking of Ethan's cologne and my mother's liquor. Ethan was everywhere. On the porch where my father told stories, in the kitchen where he cooked for us. He barked orders at Noah, scolding him when my mother wasn't around. Noah's fear tore at me. I promised him every night, "We'll get out, Noah. I won't leave you." But I didn't know how. It all exploded one Friday night, a month after the funeral. I'd been working at a local bookstore, saving every penny to escape with Noah. I came home to find Ethan yelling at Noah for dropping a juice glass. "You're as useless as your father," he snapped. Noah stood frozen, tears falling. I stormed in. "Leave him alone." Ethan turned, sneering. "You think you're tough, girl?" He raised his hand, but I stepped forward, heart pounding. "Don't touch us." My mother stumbled in, drunk. "What's this?" she slurred.
Ethan pointed at me.
"Your daughter's out of line." My mother glared, grabbing my arm. "You dare defy me?
Get out."
She dragged me to the door, shoving me onto the porch. "This isn't your home anymore." The door slammed, Noah's cries echoing inside. I sat in the rain, clutching my bookstore apron, everything I owned in a backpack. I wanted to break in, grab Noah, but I knew I'd lose against her. I stood, wiped my tears, and swore I'd come back for him. I wandered the dark streets, finding shelter under a pier. The cold bit at me, but I thought of my father's words under the magnolia tree. "Dad, what now?" I whispered, but only the waves answered. The next morning, I went to my friend Mia's house. Her mother, Susan, took me in, fed me, and listened as I poured out my story. She hugged me as I sobbed. "You're safe here, Olivia," she said. But I couldn't stay long. I feared my mother's wrath. I remembered my Aunt Emily, my father's sister, who lived in Raleigh. She'd cried at his funeral, promising to help. I called her, my voice breaking. "Aunt Emily, I've got nowhere to go. Noah's still with Mom and Ethan."
She didn't hesitate.
"Come to me. We'll save Noah." Susan drove me to the bus station, slipping me money and a sandwich. "You're strong, Olivia. Don't give up on Noah," she said. I hugged her, boarded the bus, and watched my town fade, feeling like I'd left part of myself behind. Emily's Raleigh apartment was small but warm, with soft blue walls and the smell of lavender. Her husband, Daniel, a burly ex-Marine, welcomed me. "You're family now," he said. I was a shadow at first, haunted by Noah's scared eyes. I called Mia, who said Noah was quieter at school, his spark dimming. Emily and Daniel supported me, enrolling me in Crestwood High, buying me books. Daniel taught me basic self-defense, saying, "You need to protect who you love." I knew fists weren't enough. I needed a plan. At night, I dreamed of my father under the magnolia tree, saying, "Save Noah." I woke, sweating, vowing not to fail. Living with Emily and Daniel was a balm, but Noah's absence gnawed at me. I told Emily everything. My mother's abuse, my father's death, Ethan's cruelty. Her eyes filled with tears. "I should have taken you both," she said. "We'll get Noah, but we must be smart." Daniel agreed to help. "No one hurts your brother," he said. The drive back to my town was tense. Our cottage looked shabbier, its paint peeling. I knocked, heart racing. "Noah, it's me." Ethan opened the door, smirking. "What do you want?" I pushed past. "Noah." His small voice called from his room. I found him, a bruise on his arm, clutching his toy boat. "Olivia," he cried, hugging me. "I thought you forgot me." "Never," I said, holding him. Ethan stormed in. "Get out of my house." My mother staggered behind, drunk. "You're back to cause trouble?" Daniel stepped in, towering. "Laura, we're taking Noah. Don't make this hard." My mother laughed. He's my son. Emily snapped. You abused my brother, and now you let this man hurt Noah. You're no mother. Noah sobbed. Ethan hits me when you're not here. That was enough. I pulled Noah close. We're leaving. Daniel glared at my mother, who shrank back. Ethan shouted, but Emily dragged him outside. We left, Noah's hand in mine, his toy boat swinging. In the car, he fell asleep against me, finally safe. Emily smiled. You did good, Olivia. But I felt I'd failed Noah by leaving him so long. Back in Raleigh, Noah bloomed, laughing again. But I knew the fight wasn't over. My mother, Ethan, and my past loomed. I needed to be stronger, for Noah, my father, and justice. The idea of law sparked in me. My father suffered because he had no escape, no advocate. I wanted to be that advocate. I told Emily, I'm going to study law, to help people like Dad and Noah. She beamed. It's hard, but you've got his heart. Daniel offered to connect me with a lawyer friend. I dove into school, my teachers at Crestwood noticing my drive. Miss Thompson, my history teacher, mentored me, recommending legal books. I graduated with honors, earning a scholarship to a pre-law program at UNC. Leaving Noah was hard, but I promised daily calls. Emily hugged me, slipping me cash. Your pride, she said. At UNC, I studied fiercely, working at the campus bookstore. My father's memory and Noah's drawing of us under the magnolia tree kept me going. I graduated with honors, then entered a top law school, specializing in family law. Each case of abuse I studied echoed my father's pain. I interned at a Raleigh firm handling domestic cases, mentored by Ms. Larson, who saw my passion. You've got fire, Olivia, but stay sharp, she said. One April morning, Larson called me in. Olivia, we have a domestic violence case. The client, Mia Thompson, seeks a divorce and protection from her abuser. She slid me the file. The defendant's name stopped me cold. Laura Grant, my mother. My hands shook. Larson frowned. You okay? I steadied myself. I know her, but I can handle it.
She nodded, wary.
If it's too much, say so. The file detailed my mother's abuse of Mia, bruises, threats, hospital visits. I saw my father in every word. Meeting Mia, I barely recognized her. Once cruel, she was now frail, scared. Olivia, she gasped. I stayed professional. Tell me everything. She described my mother's escalating violence, her threats to kill. I felt pity despite my past hatred. She was a victim now, like my father. Preparing the case consumed me. The evidence was strong, photos, texts, medical records. In court, facing my mother, I hardly knew her. Her hair was gray, her face worn, but her eyes still burned with defiance. She smirked at me, muttering, "Traitor." I stayed calm. Mia testified, her voice steady, detailing the abuse. My mother's lawyer tried to paint her as a liar, but our evidence held. I presented our case, speaking of domestic violence's toll, my words heavy with my past. My mother claimed innocence, tears fake, but the jury saw through her. After 2 days, she was convicted, 6 months in prison, rehab, and a protective order for Mia, whose divorce was granted. Mia thanked me, tears falling. I nodded, knowing I did this for my father, Noah, and all victims. Leaving court, I felt lighter but hollow. Justice wasn't victory, it was closure. That fall, I visited my mother in prison. She was thinner, her eyes empty. Through the glass, she said, "Olivia, you ruined me." I shook my head. "Why, Mom? Why did you hurt Dad, me, Mia?" She smirked faintly. Life broke me. The alcohol took over. She paused, hands shaking. "I don't expect forgiveness." I replied, "I can't forgive. Not after what you did. But I hope you find peace." I left, the weight of my past lifting. Back at work, I fought for victims, each case honoring my father. His love, Noah's, Emily's, and Daniel's kept me going. My advice? Don't let pain define you. Use it to fight for change. Find your spark, a loved one, a goal, and hold on. Help others when you can. I'll keep fighting for my father, Noah, and those who need a voice. In my mind, my father smiles under the magnolia tree, and I know he's proud.